welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be talking about Adam-ondi-Ahman, and we're going to be talking about Adam-ondi-Ahman for the next several videos because I wanted to just kind of go back. I've already done a number of videos about Adam-ondi-Ahman, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of compile everything together that we've covered so far, maybe find a few new things, and then do a video about it. But if you look at the top of the screen here and all these tabs that I have open, it's going to be too much to do in just one video. And so I think I'm going to do just a short little series. I don't know how many videos it'll be. Probably a few. But stick with me. This is going to be fun. This first one I want to focus on Adam's altars in Adam-ondi-Ahman, and just kind of the general intro as to what Adam-ondi-Ahman is, in case you don't know, where it's at, and some people involved, some key people, key names to know that are involved with Adam-ondi-Ahman. Okay. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, I'll put out a video with the results of the poll that we're doing. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm doing a poll of what tribe are you from, using Google Forms. It's the last video that I did, but I'll put the link for it for the actual form so you can answer the, put your answer in. It'll take you to Google Forms, you answer it, and you should be able to see the results right away. But I want to kind of wait before I do a video for it until we get, I'm hoping that we can get up to like 1,000 or so. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I want to wait until we get a pretty good sampling, and then go over those results in a video. So if you haven't already, I'll put the link in the description of this video. Click on the link. It'll take you to Google Forms, and then just put what tribe you're from. It's anonymous, which it should be, because it's a personal thing, so it shouldn't really be like identifying you specifically with your tribe. It's just kind of like a patriarchal blessing, but I think it's okay to do it like this, where it's anonymous. It doesn't record who you are, so it's just an anonymous count, basically. So, all right. So Adam-ondi-Ahman, excuse me, Adam-ondi-Ahman is in Missouri, right, in Daviess County. Some people call it Daviess County because there's two S's, but Davies is my last name. My last name, by the way, but it only has one S. But Daviess or Daviess County, whatever. So we know that Jackson County is going to right here. This is where Independence, Missouri is. This is going to be the center place of Zion, right? This is where the temple complex is going to be built in the future. We've covered that quite a bit. I have a whole playlist about New Jerusalem and about the Independence Visitor Center, because there's interesting things about that. So if you use this as your kind of reference point, where the center place of Zion is going to be, New Jerusalem, if you come up here, okay, you see this like little lake right here. It's called Lake Viking. Between Lake Viking and Jameson, Missouri, you have Adam-ondi-Ahman in Daviess County. So it's right here, right? This is the place where Adam and Eve went after they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, according to modern revelation, is back here in Jackson County, according to Joseph Smith. In fact, let's see. Let me just read this right here. This is on the church website, January 1994 Ensign. The article is called, "What Do We Know About the Location of the Garden of Eden?" Bruce A. Van Orden, Associate Professor of Church History, Brigham Young University. "We must remember that the whole earth was paradisiacal before the fall. The Garden of Eden was a center place. After the fall, there was no Garden of Eden, or paradisiacal status on earth. Yet, relative to the locale of the site of the Garden of Eden, excuse me, the prophet Joseph Smith learned through Revelation, D&C 57, that Jackson County was the location of a Zion to be built and the New Jerusalem to come. The prophet first visited Jackson County, Missouri in the summer of 1831. The prophet visited Jackson County again in April and May 1832. On one of the occasions, or perhaps both, the prophet Joseph Smith apparently instructed his close associates, and perhaps even a general church gathering, that the ancient Garden of Eden was located in Jackson County. Okay, so sometimes I think we get mixed up and we think that Adam-ondi-Ahman is is the location of the Garden of Eden, because like it's associated with Adam and Eve and where they dwelt. But no, this is where they went after they were cast out of the Garden of Eden, and that's where the altars are. So we're gonna talk about that in this video. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, this is on a BYU Idaho website. Chronology of events in Adam-ondi-Ahman. Adam lived in Adam-ondi-Ahman after being cast out of the Garden of Eden. Adam offered sacrifice as commanded of the Lord. Adam was baptized, received the Holy Ghost, and temple ordinances. 3 years before he died, Adam met with his righteous posterity and gave them the temple ordinances. And we know that this is where he prophesied all the generations of the earth, right? And this is like a corresponding event to the future. Well, I don't know if it's future. I don't think it's happened yet, but the Latter-day meeting at Adam-ondi-Ahman. So this corresponds to the future gathering there. May 19th, 1838, Joseph Smith revealed the location of Adam-ondi-Ahman. June 25th, 1838, a month later, saints living at Adam-ondi-Ahman were organized into a stake of Zion. Latter-day meeting at Adam-ondi-Ahman. So that's presumably yet to happen. Okay, Latter-day Discovery. History of the Church, 3 pages 34 to 35. Well, I think that's pages. I don't know. Saturday, May 19th, 1838. This morning we... now, I'm assuming that this is Joseph Smith speaking. I don't know. This morning we struck our tents and formed a line of march, crossing Grand River at the mouth of Honey Creek and Nelson's Ferry. Grand River is a large, beautiful, deep, and rapid stream during the high waters of spring, and will undoubtedly admit of navigation by steamboat and other watercraft. At the mouth of Honey Creek is a good landing. We pursued our course up the river, mostly through timber, about 18 miles. When we arrived at Colonel Lyman White's home, he lives at the foot of Tower Hill, a name I gave the place in consequence of the remains of an old Nephite altar or tower that stood there. So that's kind of interesting, a Nephite altar in that area. So now I absolutely do not care about Book of Mormon geography. I know that there's a whole niche of people that focus on that. There's like the Midland theory, or the what is it? The Heart of America, or the Midwest theory, that the events of the Book of Mormon took place primarily up here in the United States. Whereas there's the Mesoamerican theory that's down here. I do not care one bit. But it would seem that the Nephites were up here. And I think there's another account of like oh gosh, I can't remember. There was like a grave or something of a Lamanite or a Nephite, and I don't know. That's not the point of this video. Okay, but in any case, it looks like there were altars up there in Missouri, at least that far north, where we camped for the Sabbath. In the afternoon, I went up the river about half a mile to White's Ferry, accompanied by President Rigdon and my clerk, George W. Robinson, for the purpose of selecting and laying claim to a city plat near said ferry in Davies County, Township 60, Ranges 27 and 28, and Sections 25, 36, 31, and 30, which the brethren called, quote-unquote, Spring Hill. But by the mouth of the Lord it was named Adam-ondi-Ahman, because, said he, it is the place where Adam shall come to visit his people, or the Ancient of Days shall sit, as spoken of by Daniel the prophet. I wanted to read this because this is interesting. Here's an account of discovering it, learning the name of it, right? And then we get another little gem about a Nephite altar that was kind of in that area. DNC 116, this is May 19th, 1838. Spring Hill is named by the Lord Adam-ondi-Aman, because, said he, it is the place where Adam shall come to visit his people, or the Ancient of Days, another title for Adam, or the Ancient of Days shall sit, as spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Okay, Robert J. Matthews, professor, BYU. Elder Dyer. Okay, before I read this, we need to know who Elder Dyer is. He is an interesting person to me. Okay, let's start with his obituary. This is on the church website because it looks like it's in the May 1977 ensign. Okay, in excuse me, in 1967, Elder Dyer was ordained an apostle, although he was not a member of the Quorum of the 12. So already that's kind of weird, right? An apostle, but not a member of the Quorum of the 12. Subsequently, he was set apart as a counselor in the first presidency. And said President Benson, quote, he had the blessing pronounced on him that he was to be a watchman over the consecrated lands of Missouri. So this is weird, because it doesn't have to be this way. We know in recent history we had an exception where, because normally what you have is you just have like the three senior apostles comprise the first presidency, right? The prophet and his two counselors, which it isn't always the case. We had Elder Uchtdorf, for example. He served in the first presidency, even though he wasn't in that position of seniority. But I don't know how many times this happens where a brand new apostle basically goes straight into the first presidency. So I think that should probably raise an eyebrow. Maybe those of you that have more years than me, have you seen or heard of anyone else or any other time that something like that happened? Now, why would he be chosen as the consecrated watchman over the watchman over the consecrated lands of Missouri? Well, earlier up here, just a couple paragraphs before, it says, as mission president, Elder Dyer was active in both the Missouri Historical Society and the Jackson County Historical Society. His involvement in historical research and his knowledge of the area were to pay rich dividends for the church in later years on yet another assignment. By the way, his name is Elder Alvin R. Dyer. Alvin R. Dyer. That's his full name. So, President Benson said that in discharging this responsibility, Elder Dyer was instrumental in recommending the construction of a visitor center at Independence. Quote, today it is one of our most influential centers. And it's a little more than just that. Okay, we learned this on the Interpreter Foundation's website. Look at this. Many of you are already familiar with this story. I have a whole playlist about this visitor center because it is not just a visitor center, and you're about to see. Okay, so to make a long story short, the church owned this land. Let me go to the satellite view so you can see it better. The church owned like this land right here, but hadn't really done anything with it. It was just open land. Now, you zoom out, you can see that it's surrounded by a pretty well-populated area. I don't know what it looked like in the 60s and 70s, but probably something similar to this. And there was kind of a rumbling that maybe the city should use eminent domain to take this land and then develop it into something like a school or whatever. So they decided to, no, we're going to use it. And so they built a visitor center. Well, okay, come back here. It says, interestingly, in the development of those plans in early 1967 by church architect Emil Fetzer, and with input directly from Alvin R. Dyer. Now, remember, he's the watchman of the consecrated lands of Missouri. So, of course, he would be involved in this. So, the architect, along with Alvin R. Dyer, in approval by President David O. McKay, The awareness of the Joseph Smith-inspired expanded 24-temple complex prepared in early 1833 was definitely taken into consideration. Okay, so if you don't know, the original plan had everything gone right, and they were able to establish church headquarters in Jackson County, there would have been a 24-temple complex there in a grid. Okay, in a grid. So there's not just one temple. Like when we think of the temple spot or the temple, um, the area that's currently owned by the Church of Christ Temple lot, that was just one, the first, the principal of 23 other temples. Okay, so that was taken into consideration for this visitor center. Okay, it was taken into consideration on March 10th, 1967. A meeting of Dyer and Fetzer was held with McKay, President McKay, in his Hotel Utah apartment office. Dyer recorded the highlights of this session in his diary. Check this out. Quote, "We reported to the president that our study in this direction was we reported to the president that our study in this direction was to undertake, if we could, to ascertain which of the temple buildings designated would presumably be located on that part of the temple land that the church owned. This we have arrived at and would be consecrated upon for the erection of a building for that purpose intended, the basic structure of which could be used at a future date as part of the temple complex." And then he continues, "The proposed structure," so we're talking about the Independence quote-unquote visitor center, "the proposed structure would be 2 stories high with a floor dimension of 61 by 87 feet, which dimensions is the same as revealed to the prophet Joseph Smith as the size of the complex buildings." The temples. This is a future temple. Unless plans have changed, this is a future temple. Go see my playlist called Independence Visitor Center for a lot more information on this. Okay, so fascinating. Let's go back to what we were originally reading. So Alvin R. Dyer, he was special. He was special. He was involved in presumably one of the future temple buildings of New Jerusalem. He was over the lands in Missouri, including Adam-ondi-Ahman and Far West. Okay, with the death of President McKay in 1970, Elder Dyer was released from the first presidency and returned to his position as an assistant to the 12. So I don't know if that means that he was no longer an apostle. It's hard to imagine that an apostle would be a standalone apostle and not part of the 12, but it looks like he became an assistant. So he was in the first presidency, and then he went to assistant of the 12. So that's interesting. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so now that we know who Alvin R. Dyer is, okay, Robert J. Matthews, professor, BYU. Elder Dyer also has gathered reports of early brethren and residents of Daviess County, which describe Adam-ondi-Aman as the site of 2 ancient altars, neither of which is now to be seen. Okay, so you can't see them now. Used by Adam. One of these, an altar of prayer, he locates not far from the Lyman White House on Tower Hill. The other, an altar of sacrifice, is said to have been situated a mile or so away near the top of Spring Hill. Now, I have to wonder, I'm sure maybe Adam was instructed where to build the altars, but having to walk a mile between them, I don't know, that's not something that I would want to do, but so 2 altars, 2 of them, an altar of prayer and an altar of sacrifice, 2 altars. Leland H. Gentry, CES teacher. Abraham O. Smoot, a member of the survey team for Adam-ondi-Aman, is quoted as having said that Joseph Smith was not present when Adam's altar was discovered. President Smoot said that he and Alanson Ripley, while surveying at the town, i.e. Adam-ondi-Ahman, which is about 22 miles from Jackson County, Missouri, came across a stone wall in the midst of a dense forest of underbrush. The wall was 30 feet long, 3 feet thick, and 4 feet high. It was laid in mortar or cement. When Joseph visited the place and examined the wall, he said it was the remains of an altar built by Father Adam, and upon which he offered sacrifices after he was driven from the Garden of Eden. He said that the Garden of Eden was located in Jackson County, Missouri. So here we have another account of Joseph Smith saying that it was in Jackson County, aside from what we read before. The whole town of Adam-ondi-Ahman was in the midst of a thick and heavy forest of timber, and the place was named in honor of Adam's altar. The prophet explained that it was upon this altar where Adam blessed his sons and his posterity prior to his death. BYU Studies, Volume 13, Number 4, page 565. Okay, now here's the last one I want to cover for this video. No, sorry, second to last, but the last one is short. Heber C. Kimball. The prophet Joseph called upon Brother Brigham, myself, and others, saying, quote, "Brethren, come go along with me, and I will show you something." He led us to a short distance to a place where were the ruins of 3 altars built of stone, one above the other. So in this case, there's one location that has 3 altars, like in the same spot. Okay, one above the other, and one standing a little back of the other, like unto the pulpits in the Kirtland temple, representing the order or of 3 grades of priesthood. There, said Joseph, is the place where Adam offered up sacrifice after he was cast out of the garden. The altar stood at the highest point of the bluff. I went and examined the place several times while I remained there. Life of Heber C. Kimball, pages 209 to 210. So, they're saying that it looked like, or at least resembled, where is it? This. You remember these pulpits? These pulpits in the Kirtland temple? I think the Nauvoo maybe also had ones like this. And I think, let's look at the Salt Lake Temple. Let's see. Salt Lake Temple, what's that called? Assembly room? Or Psalm assembly? Let's see. Assembly. Yeah, assembly room. Images. This is kind of similar. It's kind of similar, I think, where you have like the 2 sides facing each other. But this one has like 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I'm not going to dig into this too deeply here. But it's extremely similar. I don't know how many of these assembly rooms there are throughout the church. I don't know if like the only one right now is in the Salt Lake Temple. If you know, put it in the comments below. Do any other temples have assembly rooms like this? Let's see. Nauvoo Temple. Yeah, here's the Nauvoo Temple. This is, okay. Yeah, there it is. That is so cool. But anyway, okay, so going back here, here's the Kirtland Temple. So they're saying that it resembled this. You know, how amazing is that? Now, of course, these right here are not altars for sacrifice, but you can draw the connection, kind of. So it looks like the sacrifice altar, not the prayer offer altar, but the sacrifice altar had these like the 3 tiers, the 3 altars to make up something that looks somewhat similar to this. That's fascinating. Okay, a most holy place. Elder Alvin R. Dyer. So here's Alvin R. Dyer again. I've been privileged to feel the nearness of President McKay's spirit. I felt the majesty of his soul as we stood in the valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman, observing in short distance a place there known as Spring Hill, referred to in section 116 of the Doctrine and Covenants as the place where Adam, Michael, or the Ancient of Days, in accordance with the prophecy of Daniel, shall in due time of the Lord visit the earth for an important reason. And while there, hearing President McKay utter quietly, this is a most holy place. This is Conference Report, October 1967, page 41. Okay, so this is the first entry in this little series I'm going to do. So stay tuned. We're gonna go over everything. We're gonna go over He Cometh to Adam-ondi-Aman, which is actually an excerpt from The Millennial Messiah by Bruce R. McConkie. The Man Adam by Robert L. Millett. Hope of Israel. There's things that President Nelson has said that's kind of like hinted to Adam-ondi-Aman. We're going to talk about Sister Nelson's talk, where she talked about what would you do if you found out that there's already been priesthood meetings of which the world was not aware, and just a bunch of other things. Alright, so if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share this, and I'll talk to you guys later.